Hi Stampers, I'm here today again with a little paper saving tip for you regarding designer series paper. So I'm going to show you a layout for cards that is a really nice way to chop up your DSP. I'm going to be focusing on using kind of a large sized phrase set called Ridiculously Awesome. It's right there, and it's found on page 90 of the current catalog. And as you can see, the phrases in this set are nice and large and are really just the focal point for your card, so it makes for really quick and easy stamping. Alrighty, the other part that we're going to be using a lot today is going to be the Playing with Patterns Designer Series paper. And you can see it here at the bottom of page 101. It has a really neat color palette: Coral, Bumblebee, Crushed Curry, Coastal Cabana, Night of Navy, and Purple Posy. And some of those will be on my samples that you'll see at the end. But first I'm going to start with a Bumblebee card, or I should say using the Bumblebee color, and the Designer Series paper that matches the color family. So it is a Bumblebee cardstock. And I just realized I forgot my adhesive. Grab that quick. Okay. So here's what you're going to need for all of the layouts that you see me do today. You're going to need a card base, and you want your card base, you can either do it landscape or portrait. So you're either going to want 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25, and you're going to want a 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5. And that's what I have today, is a 4.25 of our thick Whisper White, scored at 5.5 inches. Then for your base layer of your card, take a coordinating cardstock color that you want to match your DSP at 4 by 5.25, and mine today is going to be from Bumblebee. And then for your DSP, you're going to want a 2-inch strip by 5.25. And as you know, the DSP can come 6 by 6 or 12 by 12, which really nicely divides into a 2-inch width. And depending then on the size, you just trim it down to a 5.25 length. You'll get 3 out of a sheet of 6 by 6, and then obviously way more out of a sheet of 12 by 12. Then you're going to want a sentiment set that's really large phrases. Again, Ridiculously Awesome is what I'm using today. And you're going to either want die cuts or punches that can fit that, or else just measure what size scrap of paper you would need to mount that part on. And then embellishments as desired. All right, so I'm going to start out with just some scrap Whisper White cardstock and my Bumblebee ink pad. And I've mounted the You Are My Sunshine. So we're going to stamp that right about there. There we go. And by the magic of television, I have sent that through my die cut machine with the Stitch So Sweetly dies. And I have this really neat stitched rectangle with a scalloped edge that has my phrase on it. I've already mounted on the back some dimensionals, so that'll pop up nicely. And to the sentiment itself, I'm going to add a little dot from the Playing with Patterns resin dots. And this is technically a Crushed Curry color, but it blends really nicely with various shades of yellow. So it's Coastal Cabana, Crushed Curry, and Purple Posy. But I think it blends in nicely with my Bumblebee card. And I'm just going to stick one of those down here because I think it adds just a little touch. And then with our Bumblebee ribbon, I made a little bow, and I'm going to stick that up in the corner of that sentiment with a glue dot. And again, I like to take my ribbons, directly to my glue dots and take them off from there. And that's just going to go in that upper right corner. All right, so there we have the You Are My Sunshine phrase. So let's do some assembly. So we've got our card front. You're going to adhere your base layer to that. And again, this is a 4 by 5.25 sheet in the Bumblebee. And that should have a nice layer bordered edge there, like so. Then you're going to have that 2-inch strip of DSP that you're going to put adhesive on the back. And that's going to go just right down the middle. And I did not cut this ahead of time, as I can see, down to that 5.25 length. So once I get down here, I'm just going to take my scissors quick and trim that off. Oopsie, that really liked to just fly out of there, didn't it? And this is the beauty of video, is you get to see my boo-boos too. Okay, so there's that. Then we're gonna take our little square, or rectangle I should say, with the sunshine, take off those scraps on our dimensionals. And that's just gonna go right in the middle, like so. And there you go. That is your finished card. And as you can see, that went together super duper quick. Now you can take this layout and obviously, you know, for any kind of occasion, whatever you need. So again, just using those same measurements, let me show you what else I did. This is still from that same phrase, ridiculously awesome. And this one actually says, make today ridiculously awesome. This is a purple posy piece that came in the DSP that I used, that Playing with Patterns. And you'll notice we don't have purple posy as an ink color that's available in a pad. And so what I did here is I took my purple posy marker and I used the brush end of it and I used that on the stamp itself before I stamped it onto there. And it doesn't give you quite the coverage that an ink pad would, but I kind of like the way that turned out with almost looks a little ombre-ish like that. So I thought that was really kind of fun. I also used another one of those resin dots. And you might be wondering what this is. This is the purple posy ribbon. And normally it has, as you can see, that tan color right in the middle of it. Well, all I did was I took a snippet of it. I'm obviously gonna make this a little shorter than what I had here for tying. And I just trimmed off both of the purple parts and tossed away the tan part. So all I'm working with then are those little purple parts, and I cut 2 strips, tied them together in a knot, and put them right on there. Because I didn't want that tan color to mix in with my white. I wanted to keep it bright and not throw in that neutral color there. So that's another fun way to use those ribbons, is to just use that tiny little scalloped edge. It would be really cute to like line against a side of the thing like that, or again use just like as ribbon itself, tie knots, tie bows, whatever you need to do. And that comes in all 5 colors from that particular in color collection. And again, that was Purple Posy. Then I took, for this card, I took the same concept, I just flipped it horizontal instead of vertical. So this is still a 4 by 5¼ inch base. This is still to a 2 by 5¼ piece of DSP. And I cut my piece of cardstock to match the sentiment I was using. And as you can see, the P.S. I Love You normally comes out horizontally. I flipped it, and what I did is I cover the stamp with a Post-it note, just highlighted the U, stamped that, then again highlighted just that, stamped again, etc., all the way up. So it's a technique of masking that's a really handy way to use just a portion of a phrase or use a phrase in a little different style than you might be used to doing. So I did the P.S. I Love You all the way up, and again I used one of the little resin dots to dot the I. I used the heart from this same stamp set. I just stamped it off once so it's a little bit lighter, and that's a Coastal Cabana color. And then this particular Coastal Cabana ribbon comes from the pack that's called Playing with Patterns. You get 3 ribbons in that pack collection. You get 1 in a Coastal Cabana color, 1 in a navy, and 1 in a purple posy. And the 3 of those come together. So there you go. That is a little view of a really quick and simple layout that you can do repeatedly to make all kinds of different cards. Like I said, whatever sentiment you need, whatever occasion you need, grab a DSP, make some color cardstock to match, a little embellishment, and you are all set to go. Alrighty, thanks for joining me today. Take care.